All right, you guys, thank you so very much for turning the page and then clicking. I wanted to take a moment to actually introduce to you live and have us go through the 4 core strategies created by Lafaya Mitchell for the Lafaya Way, because you're reading about it, but I wanted to take a moment so that you can actually hear how they work. So here is Lafaya of the Lafaya Way. Hello.
Hello.
All right, so Lafaya, basically, this is our live tutorial of the things that the reader in this month's May issue of NABO magazine, i.e. Inland Empire, will be reading. And I love the way that your 4 core works. I think that it is so impactful. And as we are moving back into whatever normal is going to be on the other side of this, we're re-engaging. And I know a lot of people have been isolated at home and they may have a little anxiety and they may not know how to communicate live anymore and maybe walking around with a little more sensitivity. So I know in the communication style, you speak 4 pivotal things that we should be mindful of. And the first is to find your calm. So when we're all anxious and ah, ah, you say, find your calm. Talk to us about that.
Yes. Now I'll get into Finder Com, but I just want to, in order for people to kind of hold on to the concept, I want to give you that the acronym for the 4 core is FIR with a long R, whole bunch of R. Okay. And the F in the FIR is find your calm. And finding your calm is necessary so that you are able to actually have the influence and the impact that you want to when you're interacting with another person. Usually, pay close attention. When one person becomes upset, if there are 2 people in the interaction, you end up with 2 upset people. And
Mm,
what we're looking for is to steer away from creating that dynamic.
yeah, that's true. That's very true. Because again, there are power shifts that happen that are a little different than being on Zoom when you're live. So I think that that's really, really important. Our second is to get to the real truth. So how do we do that after we've found our calm? What's our trigger, I guess? How do we get there?
Actually, one of the ways that actually assists with finding your calm is to understand the real truth.
Mm,
When you understand the real truth, you prevent yourself from personalizing, first and foremost, what another person is doing. But and then you also keep yourself from taking too seriously your reaction. So when you're understanding the real truth, you dip into areas like, why was I triggered in that way? Or why were they triggered in that way?
yeah.
Is it possible that they could be hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? You do that 12-step program check-in. But when you're doing things like that, you're seeking out to know something that creates a situation that reduces that emotional response
Mm.
and understand maybe emotional responses in others so that you don't follow suit along with them.
Mm, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense because it puts the onus back on you. You're
Mhm.
not outside of yourself. You are actually holding yourself together. And then step 3 is our truest intention or understanding our truest intention. So, what is it that we are trying to communicate, or what is it that we are trying to give off? Am I correct there?
Yes, yes. Now, step 3 is react according to your truest intentions. And I'm very intentional with saying react according to that because most of the time we'll have set foundational intentions, set foundational desires. Most people want peace in their lives. Most people want, those kind of things. And we tend towards reacting in ways that work directly against what we would really want if we were in a good space. So
Mm,
what you want to do is you want to promote more of that good space by learning to react according to what you really want to see happen. So if one person is upset, your becoming upset is not going to create a situation where there isn't more upset. So what you're looking to do is to make a shift and say, hey, what's going on here? Let's figure this out. Moving into problem solving, solution focused mindset. So then you can get to where you truly want to be.
Yeah. And then that can actually create better teams, better work environments, all of that kind of stuff. Because when we do return back to work, we may find ourselves working with different people than when we were on Zoom or when we were last in the office. So I think that that's going to help us create better synergy and all of that good stuff. And then our last step is the 3 R's. Tell us what that is.
The 3 R's are what creates that longevity now.
Mhm.
And the first, when you work the first 3 steps, that those 3 R's are to recognize small step improvements in self and others, reinforce that highly. So as soon as you see that someone is you're communicating better and someone's doing even the tiniest bit better at how they used to react and respond, reinforce it highly. Well, thank you for for that reaction because it felt better than what it's felt like before, right?
Mhm.
And repeat. So that last R is just to remind you that you're vacillating between the 4 steps. It's never that you're doing, one or the
Right,
other. Really, they all work together.
right,
And
right.
when you work them together, like when you put all the right ingredients in for the cake or the critical ingredients in for a cake, you're going to end up with a beautiful or tasty cake. And when you take out, you miss ingredients in these core 4, then you end up with a nasty, ugly situation.
Right. Yeah. And, with where we find ourselves, we have everyone's heightened in sensitivity right now. Anxiety levels are very high. We just found out that vaccines are having adverse effects. So that may slow down certain things. And so, to prepare ourselves to return, I wanted to make sure that we had some tools. And I wanted to make sure that we had some tools that were actionable. So when I came across your 4 core strategies under the Lafaya Way, I thought, hey, what better way? And there are a lot of us that are solopreneurs. We have to interact with HR departments in order to get contracts. So these techniques work. I know I try to keep them pinned to the side of of my screen so that as I am collaborating or whatever, I can find my calm, get to the real truth, understand my truest intentions. And I always say repeat, but you heard her say that there are 3 R's. So we're going to reinforce or reward. And you have to tell me again because I just
It's
say,
recognized
right.
one of the keys to keeping hope alive, right? Keeping that spark of light is to recognize those small step differences. It's so critical because sometimes we're thinking in a different way. We just want to see the whole thing change. They change the way they do it all the way together. But that's usually not the way change happens. It usually happens in small steps. And we have to celebrate each small step in order to keep inching. You keep that ground. So when you move that first step, you keep that ground, then you can move to the next step, and the next step, keep moving forward because now you have it properly propped up.
Yeah. Okay. Now, while you were talking, obviously, my mind is working because I know a lot of our members are in leadership positions. Are you available to our members to do not only consultations, but maybe team trainings? Budgets these days are inclusive of DE&I training. And while you are not speaking directly to DE&I, you're speaking to communication. And a lot of times, understanding who we are surrounded by. Not everyone is homogenized, not everyone looks like us, acts like us, talks like us, does like us. So, that DE&I space, I'm believing that these techniques would be applicable to as well.
Oh, oh, very much so. Very much so, because it sets us up now to understand how to interact with other humans.
Human.
So whether they are from a different culture, whether they are more hypersensitive than the next person, this sets up a situation where you're able to create that human connectivity that's necessary to have influence and
Mm,
to actually it not only do you have influence, but you're doing that by validating the other person's experience as well as your own. So then there's no missing that mark for that validation that's necessary for both parties to feel like, hey, this is teamwork that we're engaged in. This is
Mm-hmm.
something they do care about how I feel, and I get to care about how they feel.
Mm-hmm. I think that's awesome. I think that that's wonderful. I think that to be succinct in recognizing four steps that keep the flow going. It's not some thick manual. This is not a 20-year training that you have to keep getting certified for. While it could be,
It could be.
it could be, but these four steps are very adaptable. They're something that you can integrate into your daily life while you're talking to your children and or your husband or your spouse or your significant other or your family members. So it was such a pleasure talking to you and bringing the whole concept to life, taking it off of the printed page. And I thank you so very much for sharing this, Lafaya. And how could our members get in touch with you?
The best way to reach me is through lafayaway.com. If you
Fantastic.
visit lafayaway.com, you get everything it is that I do. And you can also contact me and ask for a special consultation to tailor make whatever it is that you need.
Oh, fantastic. Now, I'm just going to put this out there. Would our NABO members be able to maybe receive some kind of consultation for free or and 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that, just to kind of better understand what their needs would be? And is there a promo code maybe we can use in a WBO?
If you could, and I would love to offer that actually, I'll do free consultation for anyone who identifies themselves as a NOBO member. I will give you a free 15-minute consultation. So just make sure that you really have together, hey, these are the things that we need, and how would you be able to assist us? And we can get through it in 15 minutes.
Yay, fantastic. Well, again, I thank you so very much for your time, Miss Lafaya Mitchell of the Lafaya Way. And please, NABO members, take full advantage of these techniques that she is teaching and take full advantage of a 15-minute consult. Thank you and keep reading. Turn the page. More content.